Happiness becomes more attainable when you stop chasing the idea of happiness itself. My advice to younger people is to concentrate on eliminating negatives rather than accumulating positives. Rather than striving for wealth, focus on avoiding poverty. Instead of seeking perfect health, aim to prevent illness. Rather than constantly chasing fun, try to live in a way that avoids criticism or blame. These practical life principles yield modest but dependable outcomes. When you remove the concept of happiness from your thoughts, adhering to these principles becomes simpler. Some move through life chasing brightness. Others quietly learn to step out of the shadows. Comment 1 if your path has been about seeking light. Comment 2 if it's been about keeping darkness at bay. When you focus on eliminating what harms rather than chasing what pleases, serenity arrives naturally. It is not a dazzling burst of joy, but a steady calm, enough to make life feel worthwhile. A French proverb I admire says, "It's better to oppose what you love." The cynics renounced pleasure because it inevitably brought pain. They believed a life free from both pleasure and pain was superior to one that contained both. Thus, they focused solely on eliminating pain. Their lives weren't joyful, but they avoided suffering. Misery is easy to fall into, while happiness is difficult to maintain. Letting go of the pursuit of happiness isn't a sign of defeat or insincerity. It can be the wisest decision, marking the start of true wisdom. Only when people stop chasing the illusion of endless joy can they stand firm against inevitable losses. True wisdom begins with accepting that suffering is ever present and learning to face it with composure. Real wisdom lies in remaining steady regardless of what life throws at you. Whether it's the people you meet or the situations you find yourself in, it's about maintaining emotional equilibrium. Major failures shouldn't break you, and significant successes shouldn't make you euphoric. Life isn't something you should let toss you around emotionally. If, in your youth, you can avoid the pitfalls of hypocrisy, you'll gain a deeper understanding of life early. While the idea of a good life varies for each person, living without pretense is the key to peace and comfort. The more showy your life is, the more danger it invites. Life resembles a stage. What appears glamorous is only temporary. After the performance, the elaborate set vanishes, revealing just an empty space. True emotional maturity tends to come around the age of 40. As you grow older, you start to see how many things are ultimately trivial. And these trivial matters keep accumulating without end. Repetition dulls the sense of urgency in things that once felt vital. Time passes without leaving marks. Up to age 36, it's like you're spending time's interest. But after that, you start depleting the core itself. That's why, in youth, even when life feels unbalanced, it doesn't raise alarms. It's only interest being spent. But once that reserve is gone, and you begin tapping into your life's core time, regret about wasted years becomes inevitable. Eventually, as time goes on, the core asset of life, your time, gradually diminishes. Aging often brings more greed, driven by fear, because people realize their time is running out. When life becomes too much to handle, the best remedy is sleep. At the end of the day, spend some quiet moments in reflection, but often this leads to recognizing your own failures and feeling bitter toward others, which only deepens your sadness. This cycle of frustration and resentment creates a mental fog that's hard to escape. Most issues stem from sheer exhaustion. When you're worn out, even being truthful with yourself becomes a challenge. Pushing yourself to reflect at such times only intensifies your sadness. When you're tired, even acknowledging your mistakes becomes burdensome. The idea of reviewing your day or writing in a journal feels heavy. But when you're energized, engaged, or enjoying something, you don't get stuck in regret or make empty resolutions. You're simply present. Reflection often traps you in self-pity and resentment, especially when your mind and body are crying out for rest. During these moments, resting is far more helpful than overthinking. Deep self-reflection can become a form of self-loathing. Feeling worthless pushes you to look for faults within. When you're completely drained, your self-analysis loses clarity. Rather than overanalyzing, it's healthier to just sleep it off. When self-hatred takes over, sleep is the most healing response. Neither gambling, prayer, nor meditation can match it. Sometimes, rest holds the kind of quiet understanding that thinking cannot reach. Comment 1 if rest has been your way back to yourself. Comment 2 if reflection has always guided you home. Sleep has a unique power to restore the spirit. It releases us, even briefly, from the cycle of self-blame, allowing us to awaken with lighter eyes and a calmer heart. Traveling offers no solution, and alcohol only worsens self-hatred. The most effective way to cope is to eat nourishing food, get proper sleep, and wake up early. Escaping a bad day as quickly as possible is the smartest choice. When you're going through a rough patch, your best bet is to eat a little more, sleep longer than usual, and hit reset with an early start the next day. When I take walks, my only companion is my thoughts. I make it a point to walk at the same time every day. For me, walking has become a routine, like clocking in and out of work. I carry my internal struggles and unresolved questions along, using that time to face them. That's why I walk alone. My worries are more than enough company. Living healthily depends on achieving balance between the body and the mind. It's uncommon to have both in excellent condition at the same time. The mere act of living wears us out. Even minor actions place strain on the body. To sustain a vibrant and healthy life over time, one must be ready to bear the necessary cost. The cost of a healthy life is maintaining good habits. And forming good habits requires one essential thing: patience. Patience isn't about forcing endurance, but about recognizing your boundaries and respecting what your body can manage. Driving yourself to collapse is senseless. Assuming you can handle what others do is a shortcut to self-destruction. The smart path is setting a lifestyle standard that doesn't wear out your body or mind, and keeping to it consistently. If you live this way, one day people may recognize that your seemingly ordinary life was in fact your unique gift. There are no universal formulas for life. Many would describe my lifestyle as joyless. Some people find joy in peaceful routines, others in chaotic spontaneity. But what must always be preserved is inner discipline. Whatever happens externally, your internal balance must remain stable. Just like you can't keep partying endlessly, all beginnings and endings in life must have clear limits. Limits you define for yourself. It's important to develop rules tailored to your circumstances and character. These rules should still be useful even in unpredictable moments, such as during travel. While I've gained valuable lessons and insights from traveling, the philosopher Kant saw travel as pointless and never did it. For me, however, travel felt like a unique form of reading and friendship, an extraordinary teacher unlike anything in daily life. Though Kant and I are both philosophical minds and somewhat unconventional, our views on travel couldn't have been more different. Every truly remarkable life is built upon structure. Others may not have understood it, but that structured life suited them, and that's what made it extraordinary. Like trends in education that spread quickly, personal development also follows fads. But you must create your own system that genuinely fits you. Let patience be your strength and transform it into a lasting routine. In time, this will shape a distinct and exceptional life that stands on its own, incomparable to any other. A life gains true solidity only when it is built upon personal principles. Persistently following them can transform an existence that once seemed ordinary into a life worth contemplating. Wearing unusual clothes, speaking differently, defying norms, or rejecting knowledge doesn't automatically make someone special. I don't claim to be special. What makes someone truly unique often shows up in private, unnoticed moments. Exist as myself, and no one else can be me. If God exists, that's God's concern. But the reality of my existence, whatever it means, is something only I must face. What truly matters is that I want to exist in this world. I refuse to be swayed by hollow arguments suggesting that my existence should mean something else. Nobody can tell me with certainty what happens after death, and I won't fall for those familiar illusions. If being myself isn't possible, I wouldn't sacrifice a single part of me, even for immortality. If my individuality can't be protected, I won't align myself with anything. I see myself as whole and one of a kind. My personality is unmatched, and I wouldn't switch lives with anyone. Regardless of how I appear, this is me. My personality defines my identity. To some, authenticity feels like solitude. To others, it is their most sacred form of connection. Comment 1 if you've found strength in being true to yourself. Comment 2 if connection has helped you understand who you are. I won't allow myself to become something that simply fulfills others' needs. I'm not merchandise. I'm not an item meant to be arranged for display. I don't exist to entertain or attract buyers. Unlike objects that dazzle with color and gloss to draw attention, I won't become just another collectible. I have no desire to be desired. Yet people still try to present me however they wish. I take responsibility for my actions, and only I have the right to assess them morally. When others impose their own moral values on me, that's a misuse of their power. And that's where the problem lies. I've rejected the notion of morality from the start. Because morality was never granted to me, I used to believe others lacked it too. But I've come to realize that it was simply something I was denied. I'm the only one who didn't receive that gift. Despite that, I challenged my limits as a human and managed to overcome them, and that, to me, is enough. The suffering I face now is the direct outcome of choices I made myself. No one else can alter this reality. Not even if they take the lead. I doubt things will improve, but I still want to put in everything I've got until my life ends. One of life's saddest realizations is when it hits you. Someday soon, you'll lie in a coffin. In that moment, the weight of wasted years spent pursuing hollow goals settles in, and you silently long for a final opportunity to make things right. If life offered me a second round identical to this one, I'd probably make better use of it, especially with the people I cherish. That's when the weight of regret starts to sink in. This isn't just my story. It's the reality for everyone now, regardless of background, class, or wealth. If I really care about this life, I must find a way to defy the path that feels already written. In my younger years, hope was crushed, and dreams vanished like sunlight on a fading afternoon. The breeze that carries dying leaves is now coming for me. If it arrives with the gentleness of a mother's touch, I'll drift away without a sound. Until that time, I'll keep pushing forward. And when I finally fall, I want to be able to say to that wind, I gave everything I had. I truly hope that in the end, you'll be able to say you feel no regret and hold no self-hate. What really counts is not the moment hardship strikes, but how you move forward after it. You don't need to constantly admire or compete with those ahead of you. If you have something distinct that others don't, there's no need for comparison or envy. And if trying to match others only brings you frustration or sadness, perhaps the smartest thing is to take a road where those people don't walk. A road where no one has the power to make you feel lesser. If you want to be free from judgment, live in a way that escapes their expectations. Do things they would never dare to do. Be passionate about what they overlook. That's how you reclaim your freedom. Life is messy, full of both errors and randomness. Mistakes don't always equal failure. No one can predict what a mistake will lead to, because chance always sneaks in behind it. It might flip failure into triumph, or undo even your most perfect plans. So don't try to be sure of everything. Maybe chance is already working quietly in the background. The truth is, no one knows what's ahead. Like Goethe advised, sometimes you just have to saddle up and ride. What counts is what comes after the trouble, not when it first strikes. Wishing it never happened won't change a thing. And once the moment has passed, it's already too late to beat yourself up for your mistakes, recklessness, or laziness. Hardship itself is enough of a consequence. If it's over, then clinging to self-punishment only brings more pain, a deeper, unnecessary tragedy. You don't need to justify, minimize, or turn that mistake into self-loathing. Own it. Take what comes with it. Jot it down in the chapter of your life. Then move on. The more you grow in wisdom, the more you see how hollow ideas like honor and saving face really are. These notions, status, image, are outdated and absurd. They have little to do with being human, even less with what's true, and they certainly don't come from any relationship built on real understanding. People will evaluate you by your words and actions, but if you remain silent, they'll often create their own narrative about you. What puzzles me in today's world is how much weight we give to reputation, to the point where others' opinions seem more valid than our own sense of self-worth. Of course, if I make a real mistake or act irrationally, a hit to my reputation is understandable. But the idea that someone's entire life can be destroyed by baseless gossip is both frightening and irrational. Being physically attacked is simply that, an attack. You could be kicked by a donkey or bitten by a dog in some back alley. It hurts and angers you, naturally, but that doesn't mean your dignity as a person is lost. And if you retaliate, say, by kicking the donkey, it's not some grand act of justice. Telling others about it won't restore your pride or earn admiration. If we look at the lives of ancient thinkers, the people we call civilized had no illusions about pride or appearances. Socrates, for instance, frequently engaged in heated debates, which sometimes ended with uneducated citizens physically attacking him. Yet he never once took legal action against them. On one occasion, a young man kicked him, and when others urged him to press charges, Socrates calmly replied, "Why would a philosopher sue a young colt for bumping into him?" On another occasion, a student informed Socrates that a renowned philosopher had wrongly accused him of something he didn't do. Socrates simply responded, "That's not about me. I've never done anything like that." The more wisdom one acquires, the more one understands how little importance lies in reputation and appearances. The political leaders of Athens, who laid the groundwork for democracy, weren't troubled when drunken citizens hurled rotten vegetables at them. They simply cleaned up and carried on, without feeling humiliated, even if they were unjustly struck. They viewed it the way one might view a cat scratch or a dog's nip, not as an attack on their honor-worth legal retaliation. In today's world, status and public image are often treated as the essence of a person's worth, which is why they are overly revered. Our era is full of bias in both personal relationships and authority. Many cling to saving face because they have little else to offer aside from the power their title gives them. Lacking genuine ability, they don't earn others' respect, yet still seek control. In the end, this need often leads to their own reputational downfall. These individuals don't have the self-assurance to behave in a way that naturally earns respect. Instead, they fixate on the idea that their honor has been wrongly attacked, insisting on respect by threatening To sue or accuse others is like squeezing a thermometer to raise the temperature, then pretending you made the whole room warmer. It's delusional and self-serving. In a more peaceful time, dignity wouldn't be measured by how easily it's bruised. If modern society truly respected individuals' rights, people would focus on trust rather than appearances. Unfortunately, today's concept of honor is something you must constantly assert on your own, because no one offers it freely. It's become a sharp-edged tool people use in speech to avoid being disregarded, a weapon to push back against those who despise them. Today, this concept is often abused as an excuse. In primitive times, people relied on fear instead of trust to protect themselves and hold on to their rights. It made sense when we were closer to animals than to civilized humans. But now, we live in organized societies with governments that safeguard our safety and possessions. Resorting to threats and intimidation to maintain personal space is degrading. It denies the very progress civilization is supposed to represent. Everything I've discussed comes from the belief that life doesn't need to be so difficult. Rather than aiming to be rich, focus on avoiding poverty. Instead of chasing perfect health, just work to avoid illness. And instead of pursuing constant enjoyment, simply aim to live without being insulted or judged. As Schopenhauer noted, happiness is fleeting and life is mostly filled with suffering. So eliminating that suffering is key. He also believed that peace of mind and good health are prerequisites for happiness, and that to protect your peace of mind, it's best to avoid becoming too close to others and to spend more time alone. Getting too close to people can often disturb your inner peace, making you vulnerable to their unstable values and emotional influence. Schopenhauer argued that solitude is essential if you want to discover who you really are, and that happiness isn't something to be found externally. It must come from within. We often lose ourselves in the noise of society, forgetting that peace only emerges when the inner self is nourished. The clearer you understand yourself, the less dependent you become on illusions others call happiness. There's a quiet power in choosing peace over perfection and truth over applause. Comment 1 if solitude has brought you clarity. Comment 2 if shared moments have shaped your inner calm.